All right, guys, here's a little video to help with one of those examples from the PowerPoint. If they're giving you this function and they're asking you to find g prime of 3, where g is the inverse of f, we use our new formula that basically says g prime of x is going to be 1 over f prime of g of x, where again, g is the inverse. So to put the pieces of the puzzle together for this, you really just need g of a, in this case 3, and then f prime of whatever that value is. What I think some people were trying to do is actually find the inverse of this function, which kind of defeats the purpose. That was just to sort of prove why it works. But in the end, all you really need is this. And nowhere in here do you actually need the inverse function itself. So my first step is going to be to find g of 3. So g of 3 is the same thing as looking at f of x and kind of thinking backwards. I'm not going to plug 3 in. That would be f of 3. But g of 3 is basically saying, okay, what value of x would get me 3? So essentially, when does x cubed plus 2 equal 3? For what x value does that happen? All right, now, obviously, we can solve that. That's not so bad, and you end up getting your 1. If it's not easily solvable, and it's not just a very simple value like this that you could even just do in your head, you could just graph it, right? Graph this function, see where they cross, or move this over, set it equal to 0, and see what you can do from there. But for this problem, it's relatively simple. The x value that makes the function 3 is 1. So g of 3 is 1. Again, you're not plugging 3 into here. That would be f of 3. So if g of 3 is 1, g prime of 3 is going to be 1 over f prime of 1. Well, that we can get pretty easily. F prime of x is going to be 3x squared, so f prime of 1 is 3. Plug that back in, we get 1/3. Okay, and that's basically how you have to do it. So the hardest part, I think, for most people is A, trying to avoid the temptation of switching x and y, which I understand is how you'd find the inverse in the first place, but some of these are going to get really complicated where you're not going to be able to solve for that. That's the first thing, the first pitfall. And the second pitfall is finding this value right here. So often people just end up plugging the value into the original function, but that's not what they're asking for. You have to think backwards. What value gets you that answer? Okay, all right, hopefully that one helps. If you need any more help, please let me know, and we'll talk to you later.